name's Wendy. I'm going to be reading you a book today. It's called Peter Pan. Peter Pan. In a quiet street in London lived the Darling family. There were Father and Mother Darling and 3 children, Wendy, Michael and John, as well as the children's nursemaid, Nana, a St. Bernard. At bedtime in the nursery, Wendy always told wonderful stories about Peter Pan and mermaids and fairies, and wicked pirates too. John and Michael liked best of all to play pirate. They had some fine slashing duels between Peter Pan and his arch enemy, Captain Hook. Father Darling did not like this kind of play. He blamed it on Wendy's childish stories of Peter Pan. They can see Michael and John playing, and I'm sitting watching them. It is time for Wendy to grow up, decided Father Darling. This is your last night in the nursery. All the children were much upset at that. Without Wendy, there would be no more stories of Peter Pan. That very evening, who should come to the nursery but Peter Pan and a fairy named Tinker Bell. It seemed Peter had been out looking for his lost shadow. When he overheard that Wendy was to be moved from the nursery, he hit upon a plan. "I'll take you to Neverland with me to tell stories to my lost boys," he decided as Wendy sewed his shadow back on. Wendy thought that was a lovely idea, if Michael and John could go too. So Peter Pan taught them all to fly, with happy thoughts and faith and trust, and a sprinkling of Tinker Bell's pixie dust. Then, out of the nursery window they sailed, heading for Neverland, while Nana barked frantically below. So you can see there, Nana's barking because she didn't want us to leave. Back in Neverland, Captain Hook was grumbling about Peter Pan. You see, once, in a fair fight long ago, Peter Pan had cut off one of the pirate captain's hands so that he had to wear a hook instead. Then Pan threw the hand to a crocodile who enjoyed the taste of Hook so much that he had been lurking around ever since, hoping to nibble at the rest of him. Fortunately for the pirate, the crocodile had also swallowed a clock. He went tick-tock, tick-tock when he came near, which gave a warning to Captain Hook. You can see the captain is very angry at the crocodile. Now, as Captain Hook grumbled about his young enemy, there was a call from the crow's nest. "Peter Pan, ahoy!" "What? Where?" shouted Hook, twirling his spyglass around in the sky, and then he spied Peter and the children, pausing for a rest on a cloud. "Swoggle me eyes, it is Pan!" Hook gloated. "Pipe up the crew! Man the guns! We'll get him this time at last!" "Oh, Peter, it's just as I've dreamed it would be, Mermaid Lagoon and all," Wendy said as a cannonball ripped through the cloud beneath their feet. "Look out!" cried Pan. "Tinker Bell, take Wendy and the boys to the island. I'll stay here and draw Hook's fire." See that? We're on the cloud, and Captain Hook's down there, and he's trying to shoot us down, but Peter Pan wouldn't let that happen. Away flew Tinker Bell, as fast as she could go. In her naughty little heart, she hoped the children would fall behind and be lost. She was especially jealous of the Wendy girl, who seemed to have won Peter's heart. Straight through the Neverland jungle Tink flew. She landed down into a clearing beside Hangman's tree. She landed on a toadstool, bounced to a shiny leaf, and pop! A secret door opened for her in the knot of the old hollow tree. Zip! Down a slippery tunnel Tink slid. She landed at the bottom in an underground room, the secret house of Peter Pan. Ting-a-ling! She tingled, trying to awaken the sleeping lost boys. At last, rather grumpily, they woke up and stretched as they listened to Tinker Bell. "What? Pan wants us to shoot down a terrible Wendy bird." "Lead us to it," they shouted, and out they hurried. See, Tinker Bell's trying to trick them into thinking I was a bird, and that Peter Pan wanted me to be shot down. When Wendy and Michael and John appeared, flying wearily, the lost boys tried to pelt them with stones and sticks, especially the Wendy bird. Down tumbled Wendy, and all her happy thoughts destroyed. Without them, no one can fly. "Hooray! We got the Wendy bird," the lost boys shouted. But then Peter Pan arrived. How angry he was when he discovered that the boys had tried to shoot down Wendy, even though he had caught her before she could be hurt. "I brought her to be a mother to all of us and to tell us stories," he said. "Come on, Wendy. I'll show you the mermaids. Boys, take Michael and John to hunt some Indians." So Peter and Wendy flew away, and the boys marched off through the forest, planning to capture some Indians. There were wild animals all around, but the boys never thought to be afraid, and not a creature harmed them as they went through the thick woods. "First, we'll surround the Indians," John decided. "Then we'll take them by surprise." John's plan worked splendidly, but it was the Indians who used it. Disguised as moving trees, they quickly surrounded the boys and took them by surprise. See there? There we are, all arriving, and Peter scolding the lost boys. Soon, bound with ropes, the row of boys marched away, led by the Indians, to the village on the cliff. "Don't worry, the Indians are our friends," the lost boy said, but the chief looked stern. Meanwhile, on the other side of the island, Wendy and Peter were visiting the mermaids in their peaceful mermaid lagoon. As they were chatting together, Peter suddenly said, "Hush!" A boat from the pirate ship was going by. In it were wicked Captain Hook and Smee, the pirate's cook. And at the stern, all bound with ropes, sat Princess Tiger-Lily, daughter of the Indian chief. "We'll make her talk," sneered Captain Hook. "She'll tell us where Peter Pan lives, or we'll leave her tied to slippery Skull Rock, where the tide will wash over her." But proud and loyal Tiger-Lily would not say a single word. See, Peter's protecting me and the mermaids, and over here you can see Captain Hook with Tiger-Lily. Peter and Wendy flew to Skull Rock. Peter, by imitating Hook's voice, tried to trick Smee into setting Tiger-Lily free. That almost worked, but Hook discovered the trick and came after Peter with his sword. Then, what a thrilling duel they had, all over the rocky cave where Princess Tiger-Lily sat with the tide up to her chin. Peter won the duel and rescued Tiger-Lily just in the nick of time. Then away he flew to the Indian village to see the princess safely home, and Wendy went along behind. Here you can see they're fighting, and Tiger-Lily is right at the edge. When Peter and Wendy brought Tiger-Lily home, the chief set the captives free. Then what a wonderful feast they had! All the boys did Indian dances and learned wild Indian chants, and Peter Pan was made a chief. Only Wendy had no fun at all, for she had to help the squaws carry firewood. "I've had enough of Neverland," she thought grumpily. "I'm ready to go home right now." There you can see everyone was having so much fun while I had to help with the firewood, which wasn't very much fun at all. While the Indian celebration was at its height, Smee, the pirate cook, captured Tinker Bell and took her back to the pirate ship. He presented Tink to Captain Hook. "Ah, Miss Bell," said Hook sympathetically. "I've heard how badly Peter Pan has treated you since that scheming girl Wendy came. How nice it would be if we could kidnap her and take her off to sea and scrub the decks and cook for the pirate crew." Tink tinkled happily at the thought. "But alas," sighed Hook, "we don't know where Pan's house is, so we cannot get rid of Wendy for you." Tink thought this over. "You won't hurt Peter?" she asked in solemn tinkling tones. "Of course not," promised Hook. Then she marched to a map of Neverland and traced a path to Peter's hidden house. "Thank you, my dear," said wicked Captain Hook, and he locked her up in a lantern cage and went off to capture Peter Pan. So we've got Hook and Tinkerbell and Smee, and they're tricking her into telling them where Peter Pan lives. That night, when Wendy tucked the children into their beds in the underground house, she talked to them about home and mother. Soon they were all so homesick that they wanted to leave at once for home. Wendy invited all the Lost Boys to come live with the Darling family. Only Peter refused to go. He simply looked the other way as Wendy and the boys told him goodbye and climbed the tunnel to Hangman's Tree. Peter was mad that everyone wanted to come home to London with us, so he didn't come. Up in the woods near Hangman's Tree waited Hook and his pirate band. As each boy came out, a hand was clapped over his mouth, and he was quickly tied with ropes. Last of all came Wendy. Zip, zip, she was bound up too, and the crew marched off with their load of children back to the pirate ship. "Blast it," muttered Hook, "we still don't have Pan." So he and Smee left a wicked bomb wrapped as a gift from Wendy for poor Peter to find. Very soon Peter would open it and blow himself straight out of Neverland. Oh no, that's not very good, is it? There you can see the dropping in. It looks like a present, but it's actually a bomb, which isn't very good at all. On the pirate ship, Captain Hook demanded that Wendy and the boys become pirates. "Never," Wendy cried. "Then you shall be the first to walk the plank, my dear," said Captain Hook. In the excitement, no one noticed that Tinkerbell escaped and flew off. Wendy said goodbye, bravely walked out to the long, narrow plank, and disappeared. Everyone listened, waiting for a splash. But none came. Then they heard a familiar sound. It was Pan. Warned by Tinkerbell, he had arrived just in time to scoop up Wendy mid-air and fly her to safety. See, all of the pirates had tied up the Lost Boys and Michael and John, and it was very scary. And then they tried to make me walk the plank. I was very lucky Tinkerbell got Peter in time. "This time you have gone too far, Hook," Peter cried. He swooped down from the rigging, all set for a duel. And what a duel it was! While they fought, Tinkerbell slashed the ropes that bound the boys, and they beat the pirates into jumping overboard and rowing away in their boat. Then Peter knocked Hook's sword overboard, and Hook jumped too. When the children last saw the wicked Captain Hook, he was swimming for the boat, with the crocodile tick-tocking hungrily behind him. Peter Pan took command of the pirate ship. "Heave those halyards. Up with the jib. We're sailing to London," he cried. "Oh, Michael, John," cried Wendy, "we're going home." And sure enough, with happy thoughts and faith and trust, and a liberal sprinkling of pixie dust, away flew that pirate ship through the skies till the gangplank was run out to the Darlings' nursery. But now that they had arrived, the Lost Boys did not want to stay. "We've sort of decided to stick with Pan," they said. See, we're all fighting the pirates, and Captain Hook's jumping off the ship because he's scared of Peter Pan. And here we are, flying through the sky back to London. So Wendy, John, and Michael waved goodbye as Peter Pan's ship sailed off through the sky, taking the Lost Boys home to Neverland, where they still live today. So there's us waving goodbye from our window, and there's the pirate ship sailing away back to Neverland. The end. Thank you so much for reading with me. Bye, everybody.